Hello and welcome to that gorgeous view. Yep, Pokemon, it's come a long way and you might even say it's evolved since its first incarnation. And yeah, this game really shows off the sort of 3D graphics you can get on the DS. Oh, and this guy here, talk to him, get a Quick Claw. Now the Quick Claw will allow your Pokemon to go first sometimes. Very useful, although it's very luck dependent. It requires, you have to be lucky with it. And when it comes to RPGs in general, I'm not really a fan of relying on luck. But then again, the Quick Claw, it is a very useful item, so it is worth handing. It is worth getting. And this bridge sequence here, it's very pointless, really, but it's just to show off the fancy graphics. Hey, look, it's the footage from the trailer. Hooray! But nevertheless, it's, like I said, it's actually pointless to the game, but it just adds flavour to it. It makes it seem bigger. It just puts a bit more life into it. And I do like how this bridge looks at sunset. Very golden. Now this region, of course, is based off America. And I do wonder, are these bridges based off specific bridges from that country? Oh, and I like how you see roads with cars actually moving on them, because that's the weird thing in Pokemon. You don't see roads and cars. Well, to be fair, in Gen 1 you saw one car, but I didn't really have anything in it, did it? Anyway, with that tech demo over and done with, we're actually in Castelia City. Which, I love it. It's, it's like the big middle city you see in most Pokemon games like Saffron or Goldenrod. And yeah, I do like all these NPCs. You get the feeling that it's a very crowded city. It's very hustle and bustle. And it's also got this like really interesting design where it sort of goes around on a circle. You can see here. But we're not actually going to be exploring the city in this part. We're actually going to go slightly ahead and move on to Route 4. Now, we're expected to do this route, I guess, after we complete Castelia City, but there's a Pokemon you can catch here, and I would say I want to catch this Pokemon before I fight this gym leader. Especially since this gym leader uses bug types, and actually a grass type as well. So yeah, my team wouldn't fare well against him. Now you can't move on at this point, we can only explore this little section here. But anyway, now that we're introduced to the desert levels of the game, and I'm not too keen on desert levels in Pokemon, but that's mainly because they tend to spam. Well, not spam, but yeah, your battle gets interrupted every turn by the game letting you know there's a sandstorm, which can be quite infuriating. Well, I played Pokemon Platinum recently, and what I dislike in that gen is the snow routes and also the swamp routes, where you get stuck every 2 steps. That's infuriating. Hey, the move Thief actually worked, and in case you're wondering, yes, this is the much talked about fire type Pokemon I've said I'll be using throughout the playthrough. And it's Darumaka, who I think is based off a charm, but yeah, he's a pure fire type, and in this gen fire types I found to be quite useful, especially this one because it can also learn fighting type moves. So if you didn't pick a Tepig at the beginning of the game, it's definitely worth getting one of these guys. Now, as for the nickname, if you know what this guy will look like when he evolves, he looks a lot like Jack Black, or at least he reminded me of Jack Black, with those huge eyebrows and that huge grin he'll get later on. So of course, yep, you've guessed it, I'm gonna name him Jack Black. And I like Jack Black, he's a pretty funny guy. I like his movies. Well, some have been good, some have been bad, but no matter what the movie is, he's always been entertaining in them. I like his director. I liked his role as the director in King Kong. And also School of Rock is a pretty fun comedy, I think. Now the thing about this character is that his ability is Hustle, which raises his attack, but lowers his accuracy, which I am not happy about. I do not want his accuracy lowered. I think low accuracy is actually a terrible drawback. But anyway, like I said, he'll be very useful against the next gym. And that's the thing I give Pokemon credit for, is that if you're looking at sort of the areas, they usually give you a Pokemon that would be good against the upcoming gym battle. Whatever one you have. But luckily, Darumaka, when he evolves, he does get a much better ability called Sheer Force, which essentially, for example, if you use the move Flamethrower, there's a chance that it will burn you. Well, burn the opponent, I should say. But if your Pokemon has the ability Sheer Force, it will take away that effect of possibly burning the enemy Pokemon, but it will also raise the power of that move. And yeah, and I'd rather have that ability. I'd rather have all his moves boosted. But when he evolves, we'll see that that ability in action. Now, when it comes to fighting the trainers on this route, be careful because they're actually slightly above level. Now, this Pokemon here. Now, if you're wondering about what water type Pokemon you want to use, Basculin is actually a really good choice. And just a nice bit of detail, Basculin's design differs from which version of Black or White you have. Like in Pokemon White, we see here he has sort of like a blue and green design. In Pokemon Black, he'll have a red and green design. And like I said, Basculin is a very good Pokemon to use. High attack, a pure water type, and he also knows moves like Aqua Jet. Which, if you don't know, Aqua Jet will always make your Pokemon go first. It's a priority move. So, but fortunately, I've got my Grass type here, so I'm able to take him out fairly easily. But yeah, don't underestimate these guys, because they can be quite heavy hitters when they need to be. Now, to talk about Darumaka, my fire type Pokemon here, like I said, when it comes to variety, he does get a decent move pool. Like, he can learn fire moves, and he can also learn a couple of fighting moves, which is pretty cool. Although what I do like is that his next form is not a fighting type, which means he isn't weak against psychic types. And honestly, I prefer it that way. I like the fact that he is a pure fighting. I like the fact that he is a pure fire type. And he can also learn a few rock moves as well, which also comes in very handy. And he's also a physical fire type as well. And if you remember, up until Gen 4, fire type was all fire type moves would have been special moves. So really, in a previous gen, this Pokemon, that fire type Pokemon would have been quite useless actually. But luckily, he can learn Fire Punch, which is a very good move for a physical fire type to use. But anyway, I do get the opportunity to teach him Uproar, which, I guess it's better than that move, I suppose. But yeah, Uproar, a move that causes confusion. Not really a fan of. Just thinking about this area, it is a sort of a desert resort, it's called. Oh, and you can see that bubble there. Like the rustling grass, if you go onto that bubble using Surf, you can possibly catch a rare Pokemon. So I guess that's worth doing if you're ever surfing and you come across that ripple. Now, to talk about the weather condition of sand, that is actually a very a decent tactic to use in Pokemon, and you can build whole teams around this condition. Like, you can have a Pokemon that's that can start a sandstorm, then have other Pokemon where they get like evasion boosts during a sandstorm. So yeah, essentially you can like create a whole team that works together with it. Although I think in competitive tournaments, Pokemon that gain evasiveness in sandstorms are banned because they see it as a kind of a cheap tactic, I suppose. But then again, in tournaments, like evasion is banned just outright, really. Yeah, I guess the thing with sandstorm is that it's a move, it's a weather condition that can benefit rock, ground, and steel types. So you could build a varied team with it. Whereas you can actually get a hail as a weather condition, but then again that would only really benefit ice types. And to have a pure ice team, it does, yeah, that does sound a bit tricky to me, because if you come across a strong fire type, then you're pretty much screwed. But anyway, this is over. Now in the next part we'll actually be going into the city.